You spend 10 minutes crafting the perfect text. You choose every word carefully, you reread it twice before hitting send, and in your head, the tone is unmistakable. Warm, a little playful, completely clear. They read it as cold, or sarcastic, or angry. You have no idea how they got there because in your head, it wasn't even close. Or think about the last time you tried to explain something you know deeply, your job, a hobby, a piece of advice, to someone who had zero background in it. You laid it out step by step, it felt obvious. And they stared back at you like you were speaking a different language. You start to wonder if you're just bad at explaining things. You are not. You are running into one of the strangest, most consistent glitches in the human mind, and it has almost nothing to do with how clearly you speak. Let's go. In 1990, a Stanford graduate student named Elizabeth Newton ran a simple experiment. She split people into two roles, tappers and listeners. The tapper would pick a well-known song, Happy Birthday, for example, and tap out the rhythm on a table with their finger. No humming, no singing, just the beat. The listener's job was to guess the song. Before the tapping started, Newton asked the tappers one question. What percentage of listeners do you think will guess correctly? The tappers predicted around 50%, a coin flip. Reasonable if you think about it. The rhythm feels obvious when you're the one making it. The actual result? Listeners guessed correctly about 2.5% of the time, roughly 1 in 40. Here's what was happening inside the tapper's skull. While their finger moved, their brain wasn't hearing silence punctuated by knocks. It was hearing the full song, melody, lyrics, instrumentation, all of it, playing automatically in their head, perfectly synced to every tap. To the tapper, the song was unmistakably there. To the listener, it was just knocking. Researchers later gave this a name, the curse of knowledge. Once your brain knows something, it becomes almost impossible to simulate what it's like not to know it. Your mind quietly fills in every gap for you, so smoothly that you never notice the gaps existed in the first place. This is exactly what happens when you explain something you understand well to someone who doesn't. You're not being unclear, you're tapping out a rhythm and assuming the other person can hear the song. But the tapping problem only explains half of it. The other half is about something even stranger, how loud your own feelings sound to you and how quiet they actually are to everyone else. In a study published in 1998, psychologists Thomas Gilovich, Kenneth Savitsky, and Victoria Medvac put people through a series of situations designed to make them nervous or uncomfortable, telling a lie and trying not to get caught, tasting a disgusting drink and trying to keep a straight face. Afterward, the participants were asked to estimate how obvious their internal state had been to onlookers. They consistently overestimated it. People who were secretly panicking assumed their panic was written all over their face. Observers, watching the exact same footage, mostly saw someone sitting there, looking basically normal. Researchers call this the illusion of transparency, the sense that our internal experience is broadcasting outward far more clearly than it actually is. This is the second half of the text message problem. When you write something warm and playful, you can feel the warmth as you type it. It's loud in your own head. But none of that internal soundtrack makes it into the words on the screen. The other person doesn't get your tone. They get 11 words and a guess. Two people, two separate minds, each one convinced their signal is coming through clearly, and neither one checking. So here's a question worth sitting with. Think about the last real disagreement you had with someone close to you. Was it actually about what you disagreed on? Or was some part of it just two people assuming the other could hear a song that was only playing in their own head? Drop it in the comments, because the next part is the one piece of advice that actually holds up under research, and it's not what most communication coaches tell you. Subscribe now, because this next part will change how you handle your very next hard conversation. The instinctive fix here sounds obvious. Try harder to see things from the other person's point of view. Put yourself in their shoes. Imagine how it lands for them before you say it. A 2018 study by Tally Yall, Mary Steffel, and Nicholas Epley tested exactly this. They compared two strategies for understanding what another person was thinking or feeling. Perspective taking, where you imagine their point of view, versus perspective getting, where you simply ask them and listen to the answer. Perspective taking barely moved the needle. Imagining your way into someone else's head, no matter how sincerely you tried, didn't make people meaningfully more accurate. Actually asking did, by a wide margin. It sounds almost too simple to be real research, but it lines up with a separate study from 2017 led by Karen Huang and colleagues at Harvard that looked at what made people likable in real conversations. The strongest single predictor wasn't wit, warmth, or how much someone talked about themselves. It was follow-up questions, the kind that show you were actually listening to the last thing someone said, not just waiting for your turn to talk. Both studies point at the same underlying fix. You cannot out-imagine the tapping problem. Your simulation of someone else's mind is built entirely out of your own assumptions, which means it inherits every gap you already have. The only way to actually close the gap is to check, out loud in real time, instead of guessing quietly and hoping you're right. So, the next time someone misreads your text, or you watch someone's eyes glaze over while you're explaining something that feels obvious to you, don't file it away as proof you're bad at this. You're not broken, and neither are they. You're two separate nervous systems, each one fluent in a song only you can hear, trying to pass a signal through a channel far narrower than it feels like from the inside. The fix was never about choosing better words or trying harder to imagine their side. It's smaller than that and stranger than that. Ask more, assume less, and say the quiet part out loud, because the tone you're so sure is obvious is only playing in your own head.